I was watching the news and they were talking about how the National Guard is patrolling Grand Central Station and the subways in New York City. Now, this is all by design. And they can't be too worried about it because the borders are still wide open. This is something that was warned. They were warned plenty of times. As a matter of fact, they really didn't need to be warned because common sense would tell them that when you open the United States borders, you're going to have people coming in from all across the globe. And they've already apprehended terrorists that came through the border. So just take a moment to think about how many terrorists have already crossed the border. They have no idea who they are, and they have no idea where they are. And many of them, of course, are using fake names, fake identities. And you have the United States government on our tax dollar taking them anywhere they want to go in the United States, flying them anywhere they want to go, putting them on buses, taking them anywhere they want to go. Not just sanctuary cities, but across the United States. So what do you expect to happen? Now, the FBI, Christopher Wray, is warning that the terrorist threat to the United States has reached a whole other level. Now, he warns this, but yet at the same time, you have the FBI, the Alphabet Boys, the CIA, the government, the media. Every single one of them's got their hands in. Their hands are dirty. Their hands are bloody because they all support open borders. They all support the Democrat Party and Joe Biden. So it can't be much of a threat because no one is doing anything, number one, to remove Joe Biden, and number two, to close the borders. They still allowing it to happen. While everyone is talking about what's going on and how bad it is and how much of a threat it is to the United States, but yet they got a problem with TikTok. TikTok appears to be the biggest threat to America seems to be TikTok, even though the borders are wide open. And I find it interesting because they say that China is a threat to the United States to the point where they have to ban TikTok. But at the same time, I don't see them banning any products that's made in China that's being shipped from China to the United States. I don't see them banning. Remember when COVID came out and the United States ran short on masks? Well, China shipped masks to the United States for Americans to wear on their face, to breathe in with those masks on their face. But yet, China is a threat to the United States. TikTok is a threat to the United States. And it's much bigger than that because this is their way, this is the Democrats' way, Joe Biden's way of trying to muffle, or better yet, control the information that Americans are receiving on TikTok. They want to violate your right of free speech. This is them stripping you of your rights. So it's much bigger than that. But they're saying that the threat level has reached a whole new level in the United States, but yet the borders are still wide open. But yet today a thought came to my mind. It was a scripture. And the scripture is taken from 1 Peter 5 and 8. And it says, be sober. In other words, be sound-minded. Be vigilant. Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. You know, one time, this maybe about a month ago, I was at the casino because I love to play the slot machines. And it was late at nighttime. And around maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, there were a group of what appeared to be immigrants. And they were standing in a group. There was about maybe 4 or 5 guys, and there were maybe 2 women. And the 2 women were playing one of the slot machines. The guys, on the other hand, were standing back in the corner. And those you brothers and sisters that sit from the hood, you could feel when someone is plotting on you. You know, you can feel when someone is planning to try to rob you. And I'm playing this game, and they're standing behind me, but yet they were standing in a group and they kept watching me. So what I did was I got up and I went to the high stake area. When I went to the high stake area, here they come. And they kept walking back and forth in back of me, you know, just hanging around in the area where I was. And it was as if, again, they were plotting to try to rob me. And we hear about that happening all the time in New York City, where you have senior citizens and American citizen taxpayers that's being attacked by illegal immigrants. So when I saw that, I got up and I moved again, and here they come. So I kind of walked out to my car because I'm always armed. I'm always ready. Okay, I'm a veteran. And we were always taught in the military, as a matter of fact, when we salute saying always ready. So I kindly, politely walked out towards my car because I wanted them to follow me, right? But then right when I got to the door, they stopped and they went back. So you always have to be alert. You always have to be sound-minded. And I know there's a lot of y'all that like to smoke weed, you like to drink, you get turned up, as you say. But we're living in very dangerous times now where you have to be alert coming in and out of your house, because you have no idea who's just sitting back watching you, waiting for the opportunity to attack. You have no idea. I shared a story before. I closed my store, and my sons, they were in Elmira. And when I got home, when I closed my store, it was around about 11 o'clock at nighttime. I pulled up in the driveway, and the headlights kind of went across the porch as I turned up into the driveway. And on my porch, I have a closed-in porch, and on the porch in the corner, I saw what appeared to be a silhouette, a human silhouette. So I pulled up in the driveway, and I'm saying to myself, okay, I see you. I see you. But I got my firearm. I had a .45 on me. And I put it on my hands. I got out the car as normal. I walked up to the door. I opened the screen door. And I said, I'm giving you a few seconds to come out, or I'm going to start shooting. This guy comes out of the corner and says, oh, is this such and such house? Nah, bro, you got the wrong house. He walked off the porch and walked on down the street. Never seen that guy from that day to this one. Okay, so apparently it might have been someone that kind of sat back and observed. They knew I owned a business, and they kind of sat back, observed, and was trying to find the right opportunity to try to rob me. But it failed. So you always have to be ready. So when you hear the scripture, when it says be sober, be vigilant. Now, a lot of y'all may not know what vigilant means, okay? But someone that's being vigilant is someone that exhibit intense, unremitting watchfulness, always being watchful and alert. Not paranoid, but just aware of what and who is around you. Even when it comes to so-called friends or family members, you have to be aware, because you have family members and friends, or so-called friends, as they call frenemies, will set you up. Okay? So you have to always be aware and alert of who's around you. You may have so-called friends that may try to talk you out of the house just to set you up. So you always have to have your discernment on. You always have to be sound-minded. aware. So when someone is vigilant, they exhibit intense, unremitting watchfulness. It implies being keenly aware and often cautious. So you have to be keenly aware and cautious of your environment and of people that's around you. Because your adversary, the devil, and this is not talking about some mythological creature, the devil. Because the devil manifests himself in human form. And we're now living in a society that's being run and controlled by demons. People that you knew, that you grew up with, start now to manifest demonic energy. They're doing things that you may not have seen them do before. They become devils. So you have to really be aware, be sound-minded. When you decide to go out and party, if that's what you do, always, I remember when I was in the military and even growing up, when I was old enough to go out, and I went out to the clubs, I went out to party. One thing I refused to do was drink or get high when I was out. Although I was around a lot of friends, I refused to drink and get to the point where I lose myself. I've always felt, even as a teen, I always wanted to be aware and alert of what and who's around me. Always. Always watchful, always alert. Even on my street, I'm aware. If I see a parked car that's sitting there that don't belong there, I'm going to go around the block. I'm going to spin the block and I'm going to come back down just to check out who's in that car and why. And sometimes I might even stop and ask you, can I help you? You're looking for someone, because I know that they don't belong there. Because you never know who's sitting back watching and plotting you. So now that the borders are open, there's a lot of people, their homes are being invaded, right? People are losing their lives. People are being robbed and being assaulted by people that they don't know, that they've never seen before, and more than likely won't ever see again. So we're living in times where we have to be sober. We have to be aware, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. So again, be careful, because we're living in dangerous times, and regardless of what the news or the media says, regardless of how many threats may come over the news, this is all by design. They are fully aware of what's going on. They knew that these threats were going to happen when they first opened that border, because we don't know what or who is coming across that border. We may have an idea and we may have our conspiracy theory, but we're living in times where now we have terror cells that's here in America. And another thing I want to say before I end, and this is something you also have to be watchful and aware. The government is giving a lot of so-called migrants social security cards, driver's license, IDs to get jobs. And many of those jobs that are given to the immigrants are in the medical field. So now they're in charge of medication. They're in charge of your health and your safety. So when you go to the hospital and you see a doctor, a foreign doctor that can hardly speak the language, and now they're diagnosing and telling you what's wrong with you and prescribing medication. In many cases, people, they listen to what doctors, to some people, doctors are like gods to them. They believe in science. So you have no idea when you're being prescribed the wrong medication by someone that don't have the right credentials. There have been Nigerians that were caught with fake medical license. So you have to be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, is walking about like a roaring lion seeking whom he may devour. So we're living in some crazy times now. And trust and believe they're fully aware of what they're doing with those borders open, because they're looking for certain results. We have enemies behind line. You have enemies that's in the government. I've spoke on this many times. And many times YouTube removed my video. But we're living in perilous times. We're living in troubled times. You have to be alert. And don't believe everything that's being fed to you in the media. And when it comes to your Second Amendment right, don't let them take your rights away to defend yourself and your family. Why do you think Joe Biden and the Democrats and Republicans want to strip you of your Second Amendment right? They want to strip you of the rights to defend yourself and your family, while at the same time they open the borders. And even when it comes to the police force, guess who there are? And I mentioned this before, that we see more Asians now. That's police officers. We see more foreigners, Africans, because they don't have a connection to American citizens. So it's no thing for them to act out. And I'm not going to even say enforce the law, because if the law was really enforced, they wouldn't be there. If the law was really enforced and followed, you would find that there would be no foreigners in politics, especially running for president of the United States. So we're living in dangerous times now. And the government cares nothing about the people. We can see that right now, where our tax dollars are being used for other nations. So feedback, tell me what you think. Be careful, be sober-minded, be aware, be alert, and arm yourselves. Arm yourselves. Stand up and fight for your rights to self-defense. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Until next time, I'm fearless.